Sports Hub, Paisley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Patriots play their third of three consecutive road games today when they visit the Tennessee Titans. Pre-game coverage starts at 10 right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter this morning, the Titans will be running a, quote, simplified offense for today's game after firing head coach Brian Callahan earlier this week. Elsewhere around the NFL, there is a London game this morning. Set those fantasy lineups. The Rams take on the Jaguars in the 1 o'clock window. Carson Wentz leads the Vikings against his former team in the Eagles. And a big one in the AFC at 4 o'clock between division leaders is the Colts visit the Chargers. Tonight, the Falcons take on the Niners. And there is a Monday night doubleheader tomorrow. 3 more top 10 teams lost in college football yesterday. One in a top 10 matchup as number 9 Georgia knocked off number 5 Ole Miss. You also had number 17 Vanderbilt beating number 10 LSU. And then number 7 Texas Tech lost to unranked Arizona State. In a local matchup in college football yesterday, UConn beat Boston College 38-23. The Bruins lost 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche last night. They wrap up this West Coast road trip later today against the Utah Mammoth, with coverage of that game starting at 6:30 right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And the New England Revolution wrapped up their season last night with a 2-2 tie against Chicago Fire FC. Both teams scoring in the 90th minute of that game. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center with 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, and high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center. Urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Yes. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle. The show that's all Patriots, all football, all year long. The clutch wins, the tough losses, and the game-changing plays. This is the show that has it all covered. Sunday Kickoff. Brought to you in part by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Welcome into Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Week 7 edition. That's right, we're already at Week 7. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you. Ryan Garvin behind the glasses. The Patriots wrap up. You know, I hesitate to call this a road trip because road trip implies you're like away from home the whole time and you're, staying at hotels. You don't sleep in your own bed. They come home during the week. But, 3 road games in a row for the Patriots, a rarity, and they can sweep it this afternoon against the Tennessee Titans. And really, I think, continue to send the message, Cerrone, they've been sending as we get going here this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, man. I think the message being sent around the league by the Patriots team, of course, if they get the W today, is that, we've arrived, or we're a good team that you probably don't want to face. And, the first step of doing that is beating teams you're supposed to beat. That's what good teams do. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat and give yourself a chance against the great teams. And I think the message being sent is that, not we're fully back, but we're respectable. And, this isn't the situation has been the last few years. So hopefully the positive vibes continue and then come out with a W today.
I think there's levels to it, right? Mm-hmm. And we can go all the way back to the Panthers game, honestly.
Yeah.
You hang 40-something on the Panthers, and that's, a little bit of a message in the sense that we're not, the offense is at a level that it hasn't been in a few years. And honestly, the more we go on, maybe that Panthers win wasn't that, we kind of talked about after that, well, it's the Panthers. What are you going to do? Well,
I know. I don't think they've lost since.
That one's looking better by the day. The Raiders one's looking worse by the day. But that's the early season in the NFL. Like, weird stuff happens. But so, all right, like the offense is at a level that it hasn't been. You put up 40. Then you go to Buffalo. You put yourself on the national stage. Hey, we're not the get-right game. We're not the push-around game. The Panthers game wasn't a fluke. Then you go to the Saints last week, and it's, hey, we're not, it wasn't a flash in the pan in Buffalo, and we're not getting caught up in the trap game, and we're not believing in ourselves too. We're not reading our own press clippings too much. Like, we're still out here doing business. And then today is kind of a continuation of that. I think it's for Vrabel, a really good chance to make a statement just to Tennessee. And if you listen to people in Tennessee talk, this was kind of the game that Vrabel struggled with. He'd win the big games, the upsets. He'd beat the Buffaloes. But, you face a team that fired its coach this week, and it seems like there's a ton of extra motivation for his team, for Vrabel's team, and they come up on the wrong side of it. So they'd have, what would it be, 4 wins in a row, right? 5
last time they've done that.
And it's been a long time. So they'll have one more easy one next week, or we think easy one against the Browns, and regardless of what happens today, that's the case. Then the schedule gets a little harder. You got Atlanta, you got Tampa. Those teams have been playing well, but just a chance to kind of put themselves, you're 5-2. You're going to be in the playoff conversation pretty much the rest of the year, especially with the schedule. So I don't think it's one message being sent, to your point, but I think it's just continuing to build this. After the way the last few years have gone, I think people are going to continue to question it. And how real is it? And it's just continuing to check those boxes, which I think they would do with a win today, which would also, the other thing I wanted to mention, in theory, extend their lead in the AFC East. And that's a little tongue-in-cheek. The Bills have a bye, but it's, you pick up a game on them, half a game on them.
Yeah, and you do, and you're catching them at the right time. They're kind of reeling a little bit. They're dealing with some things on their roster and probably confidence more than anything else. But, yeah, this is your chance to not only build on the Bills, but to build on the rest of the AFC, kind of kick everybody while they're down and kind of, try to not gain ground, but solidify your playoff spot. And look, I know a lot of people are like, well, still the schedule is weak. We don't know how good this team really is, whatever. It's like, hey, it is what it is. I'm glad they're good enough to take advantage of a schedule like this. And look, the Steelers are sitting, well, they were sitting at one of the top teams in the AFC, and I think they were better than the Steelers for the entire game except for the turnovers. I thought they fully outplayed them. And in the AFC right now, I mean, you still got Kansas City as a team you're really worried about. But outside of that, the way it's shaping out, I don't see any one of these teams being that much better than the next. I think they can play with most of these teams. You get a game in Foxborough, who knows how it goes. But look, I think they're in a good spot. I'm gonna give them their credit. I'm not gonna blame the schedule and say this team isn't doing anything, because Indy, some of these other teams, they're taking advantage of these weak schedules too. And it's not their fault that these teams are banged up or don't have the depth, because the Patriots have had their share of injuries, but yet they still continue to do their thing. They didn't have their best defender for their first few games of the season, and they still came out okay. So, good for them for doing that. But look, win the game you're supposed to, stockpile those wins, and get yourself in the playoffs. That's the name of the game. When they were winning championships every year, the schedule wasn't tough. The Matt Castle year, if you go back and look at that schedule, one of the easiest schedules you're ever going to get. That they played the NFC West. I believe the whole division was under 500 that year, something like that. But I mean, you take advantage of it, and I think they are, and good for them, and good for the players. I would say using this almost like a extended preseason type thing against some of these lesser teams, but continue to grow, continue to capitalize, and be better, and continue to evolve. Last week, you went downfield a lot more than you did in the previous games. I want to see more of that from this team. And not just take these teams lightly and just try the new things, but become a full team, become a legit team. That way, by the time you get to December, you're battle tested, you've gone through all your stuff, and you're ready to go, and now you're an elite football team. So hopefully they continue to trend in the right direction like they've been doing, and become the Baltimores, the Kansas City, and the Buffaloes, and be there in the end fighting for a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
So here we are looking ahead. You're talking about treating games as preseason games and the playoffs and future opponents, and we can do that. We're allowed to do that, right? We're here in the media. I think last week this was more the question, but I'll bring it up again. Is this a trap game? I don't think it is because of the Vrabel angle. Yeah. If it wasn't for that, I might be saying it is. But I don't think Vrabel's going to let his team sleep on this game. He said earlier this week, described his return to Tennessee. It's not important, but it's interesting. Mm-hmm. And I think that's basically code for we're not changing what we do, but it's not nothing. So is this a trap game for the Patriots?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it is because of the situation with Vrabel. I think they're going to be really motivated as a team to win one for him. Landry's going back there, in his, I know he's banged up or whatever, but they're motivated to win this game. And they lost a tough one in Tennessee last year, that overtime game. Some of the guys that are still there, well, a few of the guys, Drake May being one of them, made that spectacular play to Ramondre Stevenson to send it to overtime. But I think a little get back there for them. So I think they're a little motivated, some of the guys that were there last year, to win this game. And I think the real trap game is the Cleveland game. That's the one where it's like you got Atlanta after that. You're going to be looking ahead a little bit. I think that's the one you're going to have to worry about. But I think today, the motivation, I think, is there for them to go out and win and show that, we're not a fluke or you did wrong by coach and all these other things. And they just fired their coach. So it's like, man, it's a chance for us to get right. But you can't go out there and be sloppy and turn the ball over. And now it's a real bad situation if you lose to a Tennessee team.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I want to get into the Titans coaching situation. We'll obviously get into some of the X's and O's as well. Some potential injury updates that could have an impact on this game. You want to join us to talk about today's matchup, 617-779-0985. I'll also tell you our opening segment was brought to you by Boston Solar. From now until the end of the season, we're spotlighting each week's bright spot, powered by Boston Solar. After falling behind 16-14 in the third, New England powered down the field for a 73-yard drive, capping it off with a touchdown to take the 2016 lead against New Orleans. Boston Solar has helped over 6,000 homeowners take control of clean, reliable energy that saves money. Right now, score $3,000 off your solar installation when you make the switch. Schedule your free consultation at bostonsolar.us. Boston built, Boston trusted, Boston Solar. So again, Patriots, Titans coming up at 1 o'clock. We're breaking it down. The coaching element, Mike Vrabel going back to face his former team. The Titans with a new interim coach in Mike McCoy. Which players will step up in this one? Can the Patriots extend their winning streak? You want to join us to talk about it? 617-779-0985. We'll get more into the coaching matchup next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub. Barth and Cerrone Battle are here, talking football every Sunday morning with the insiders and with you. It's Sunday Kickoff on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Coach, it's Titans week. What are your thoughts on going back there in Nashville?
This is going to be probably a lot to be said about this, and I think would file under the category of, is it interesting or important? And I would probably say this would be very interesting, but in the end, not very important to our preparation or what we need to continue to try to do to improve as a team. But having spent, 6 years there or 7 years there, it's, I think it'll be nice to see some people that I haven't seen in a few years that helped us win, players and staff. But, we've got a huge job here to do as we prepare for them.
That was Mike Vrabel this week on his return to Tennessee. It's Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. So there's two ways to look at this when it comes to coaching matchups, Cerrone, in my mind. Because there's that kind of unofficial boost on both sides. You've heard a lot this week, the interim coach bump for the Titans.
Yep.
They fire Brian Callahan this week. He goes 4-19. He's replaced with Mike McCoy, former San Diego Chargers head coach. That's how long ago it was. And there's actually a report this morning from Adam Schefter along those lines. Schefter reporting, and the headline is the Titans will simplify their offense for Cam Ward, their first overall pick. And he gets into how, in addition to the overall simplification, they're also going to have to change their run game because they also fired their offensive line coach or dismissed their offensive line coach. I don't know what the exact mechanic was off the top of my head, but Brian Callahan's dad, who's Bill Callahan, who's a longtime legendary offensive line coach, was the offensive line coach in Tennessee. And, he was fired. I found that. So he was helping in scheming up their run game, which he obviously now cannot do. So you have the interim coach bump, and, is the team going to play with a little extra energy? Maybe things are simplified for them, everything's cleaner. And then you have the Mike Vrabel effect and him going back to Tennessee and him looking to get revenge, and by all accounts, maybe not the biggest fan of ownership there and might be looking to stick it to him a little bit, whether he'll admit it or not.
Yep.
Which effect is stronger? Like, I've been talking all week like these are going to cancel each other out. And I think you don't see the effect on either side.
Yeah, I think if Tennessee had their full roster and was a little more motivated, it would be. But I think with Calvin Ridley being out, when you're already the worst offense in the league, they're worst across the board in just about every category. But then when you're down one of your bigger weapons, I think you're going to have a boost early on, but it's up to the Patriots to kind of put that flame out after the first couple series.
Yeah.
Similar to the Carolina game. How Carolina just came out with the perfect plan to start the game. The next thing you know, it just got out of control. I could see a similar situation to that. I think they'll come out motivated, a little fired up, little change, different. Nice day down there in Tennessee. And the minute one thing goes wrong, and I mean a holding call on a big player or anything small, they'll start to slump their shoulders. They'll start pointing fingers. And I think that's where the Patriots have to take advantage. I guess, long story short, I think the Patriots be motivated the entire game, whereas I think Tennessee is just trying to come out and show that they're respectable early on with, like I said, simplified offense, all those things.
Yeah.
And just try and show that they're a competent team, whereas the Patriots are trying to really run it up on this team. So I think the Patriots, the Vrabel effect will last longer than the initial boost that Tennessee gets from the opening tip.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you mentioned the roster. They're without Calvin Ridley. They might have to simplify their offense.
They have no choice,
It might not be the coaching thing. Because if you look at who they have left, especially at the wide receiver position, they're going to be featuring probably two rookies today. In Elike Omanor, who's been starting for them. But then with Ridley out, it's Chimere Dike, who's another rookie. He's a very good kick returner and somebody actually the Patriots need to be aware of today in special teams. I'll just mention that. But, after that, Van Jefferson's a veteran. He's a fine player. And then whatever's left to Tyler Lockett. Did you see they threw a bubble screen to Tyler Lockett? the other week?
No.
Which if you're laughing and Tyler Lockett's been a good player in this league for a long time. If you look at Tyler Lockett's yards after the catch the last few years, throwing that guy a screen is an interesting choice.
Probably caught him off guard. Like, wait, what?
Right. So they may have to simplify it because you're going to have a rookie quarterback throwing to a lot of rookie wide receivers. And,
with a new offensive line coach.
With the new offensive line coach, the run game is going to be changed. So that's what I wondered, well, do they just lean on the run game? Because all things considered, I mean, this is a 1-5 football team, so take it for what it's worth. Relatively speaking, Tony Pollard's been solid for them. Mm-hmm. Like, he hasn't been bad, and Tyjae Spears is a fine back. So they do, and the interior of their offensive line actually has some talent. Peter Skoronski, Kevin Zeitler, Lloyd Cushenberry at center. So, okay, can you lean on the run game? But the Patriots defense, one, has been really good against the run, and I think they're also, last week, I like Milton Williams was fine. I don't want to say he was bad. He wasn't the guy he's been. He had 100-something fever the night before the game, so it's okay. He was, he took a little step back. You expect that. They're going to have full Milton Williams this week. He's not on the injury report. He looks healthy, ready to go. And then obviously the rest of those guys that have been playing so well, are they going to be able to run on this team? They're going to have to do something different, and that's where you get into, that to me is where the interim coach bump might present itself, is are there going to be some things schematically or tendency breakers that the Titans do that they haven't done yet this year? And can the Patriots be ready for that? And Mike Vrabel said this week they're going to need to be ready for it, but it's kind of tough to prepare for just the general something new because you don't know what that new thing is going to be. It's just kind of head on a swivel. So the Patriots will obviously have to make adjustments, which they've done a good job of this year. They've started slow in games, but they've made adjustments. But that's where it's going to manifest itself to me, is any new wrinkles from the offense. But I think this is a coaching staff that should be able to deal with that, even if, maybe they get dinged for one big play at some point early in the game, but it's a coaching staff that should be able to bounce back and rebound from that.
Yeah. And I think what happened, as you were just saying that, I was thinking with them, with a new coach, new offensive line coach, with them simplifying the game, whatever, I guess with my point is with a new coach, you might have to throw out all the film that you have on this team this year. I don't know how relevant any of the footage or anything you've seen, any tendencies you've seen in the past really are. And I think that's where the bump comes in, because it makes you simplify your defense because you're not sure what they're going to do. Are we just going to man this thing up the whole time until we kind of get a feel on what they're trying to do? So I think it kind of limits you. But I think with this Tennessee team, like you said, they have guys that have been decent. Pollard, they got the two young receivers. One of them's a burner, really elusive. I think they have the ability to make the play here or there, where this team, if you look across the time of possession and stuff like that for the season, they have a hard time with long drives, sustaining drives. So I think the most important person today might be the special teams kicking game. Make this team march 80 yards every time. Long drives, 10-play drives, and see if they can handle it. I think that's the problem. If you keep giving this team a short field to where Cam Ward just has to make one or two plays to get them 15, 20 yards where they can get points, then you're going to find yourself in a tough situation. And they're going to get their confidence. Then that new change boost kicks in. This is Patriots at Cincinnati now, week 1 last year, where now you're feeling good about yourself. Like, wait a minute, we can beat this team. Make this team go on long, sustained drives and see if they can handle it, and see if they run into a situation to where they start checking out. Because I think they're on the brink of players being like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm ready to be traded, or I'm done with the season. Push them to the point of checking out, and I think you're going to get this team. But you cannot give them the ball at the 40 and the 50, turning the ball over, putting it on the ground, throwing interceptions. You can't allowing. You mentioned the kick returns, big plays in the return game, Miami game. You can't allow those things to happen, and that gives bad teams a chance. It gives them hope. So I think if you can keep them just play the field position game, they're going to give you your opportunities to make your plays, but you got to let them kind of shoot themselves in the foot with long, sustained drives.
All right, let's grab a call here before we hit the break. Eric in Cleveland on the other side of the ball for the Patriots. Eric.
Hey, Cerrone. Hey, Barthy. One Ithaca College bomber to another here.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it's a big game. I think it's a get right game for the rushing game, right? So for Travion and Ramadre. And then on the defense, I mean, getting some interceptions off of Cam Ward, I think is totally in the books for today. And boy, if we could, I guess, take advantage or leverage the opponent and get this rushing game going and getting this defense going, getting those linebackers going, especially against a kind of inexperienced Cam Ward. I don't know. I think it's kind of a big game and not just a normal Mike Vrabel revenge game. That's my 2 cents. I'd like to hear what you guys say.
Thanks for the call, Eric. There's one thing in there that he said that definitely stands out to me, the interceptions. Mm-hmm. And they've been okay forcing turnovers. They're middle of the pack. They have 7 in 6 games. Some of those were, like in the Bills game, there's a botched handoff, right? So that's not the Patriots forcing the turnover. They have just 1 interception since week 3. Mm-hmm. And that was that one against Josh Allen. Excuse me, that was that one against Josh Allen, the Bills game. So I'd like to see them against the rookie quarterback swarm, force more turnovers, because the way they're playing the pass game now, I don't think it's as bad as some people are making it out to be, but they are allowing some chunks, and you can get by with that as long as you're forcing turnovers and you're using that aggressiveness to force turnovers. And I think they need to do a little more of that. So their 4 interceptions this year, only 1 is by a cornerback, and that's Marcus Jones. Jalen Hawkins has 1 at safety. Robert Spillane has 1 at linebacker, however you want to count Marte Mapu. I mean, they basically count him as a linebacker now. So, still nothing from Gonzalez, still nothing from Carlton Davis. And that can be good. Like, if you're not targeted,
they're not challenging them.
You're not forcing interceptions. But I thought this defense would be a little more ball hockey than it's been. We'll grab one more call here. Walter in Boston. Walter, good morning.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Like, I agree with you, about the defense. This should be a good game to get guys in the right place. And this is a game they should win. But to me, as a football fan, like, I'm 63, you guys have been great at what you do. I listen to you guys all the time.
Thank you.
To me, I don't know what the offense is going to look like against Cleveland and Atlanta, 2 really good defenses, because so far they haven't played them deep kind of defenses. I think they can beat both teams, but it's going to be a real challenge. Today, I'm hoping an easy win, but the next 2 weeks, it's going to show me what they're going to look like the rest of the season, because it's going to be where they have 2 teams that can get pressure. You know what I'm saying? And I want to see what it's going to look like when Drake's going to have consistent pressure in his face.
Thanks for the call, Walter. And that could come up today. Now, maybe not off the edge. You look ahead to next week, Cleveland, Myles Garrett. We'll talk a lot about him next week, but Jeffrey Simmons in the middle for the Titans is, I think, an underrated player, and I know he's an all-pro. I still think he's a little underrated because he's just been on a bad team most of his career.
Yeah.
So people are maybe not aware of him. No defensive tackle in the NFL is getting more pressure this year than Jeffrey Simmons. And then next to him, and he's also a great run player, second in the league in run stops. I mean, he's a 3-down, plays 87% of the snaps. Guy's a beast. You're going to see a lot of him today. And then next to him is T'Vondre Sweat, who, if you remember our draft coverage last year, I'm a big fan of the defensive tackle out of Texas. 6'4", 366 pounds. He can play on all 3 downs as well. He's primarily a run stopper, but he can get push in the pass game. And you look at the interior of the offensive line, they did not have a great game last week. Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, I thought Mike Onwenu had a bit of a down game as well. That's a real test. Like, you want to find a real test for the Patriots in this game. We've made a lot, like, the roster's lopsided and the Titans roster isn't good and the Patriots should go in and do what they do. And I think that's true for a lot of this game. The one spot, if the Titans want to take this game over and wreck it, it's Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat against the Patriots interior offensive line.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee, it's weird. I don't think the defense is as bad as people make it out to be. The problem is the offense keeps going 3 and out, and they're always on the field, and the other team is getting way more time in possession and getting way more shots at it. And that's why I said you got to get this team off the field, force them into 3 and outs. But I think their defense, they have good players. They have guys that can make plays. And he mentioned the same thing with Cleveland. Cleveland has a good defense. The problem is the offense is so bad that the defense has to keep going back on the field. There's no sustained drives. And eventually an NFL team is going to score on you because of the amount of possession they get. And I think that's going to be the case today and next week. And not to look ahead or anything like that, but I think Tennessee is going to have guys on this defense that makes plays. They're going to get after Drake May. They're going to get plays where they stop the run, put you in 3rd and long situations. and they might get the Patriots off the field, but then that Titans offense could be quick 3 and outs, and they're right back up there again. And eventually the Patriots are going to get their points and going to break through against this defense.
All right, let's get more on this matchup with Doug Kyed. He covers the Patriots, the Boston Herald. We'll talk to him next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub and Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
By Doug Kyed. He covers Patriots for the Boston Herald. He's down in Nashville ahead of today's game. Doug, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How you doing, Alex?
Good. As we look at this matchup we were just talking about, I'm curious your thoughts. There's the interim coach bump for the Titans and the Vrabel revenge game factor for the Patriots. Do these just cancel each other out, or do you think one maybe holds more weight than the other?
I think that the Vrabel revenge game holds more of a factor, just based on all the buy-in that we've seen so far this season from Patriots players, the way that Patriots players have responded to Mike Vrabel throughout this season. It really feels like something special is kind of brewing in New England. And I obviously don't know how Titans players feel about Mike McCoy, but I could imagine there being more of that interim bump if it was, someone like Antonio Pierce or like a former player or someone the Titans players could rally around. I just don't necessarily see that happening with a retread former head coach who didn't have a lot of success like Mike McCoy.
Just to add on to that, what'd you make of the report this morning from Schefter that the Titans are going to simplify their offense?
I think it's smart. Obviously, something's not working there with the Titans, and having to, bring in a new head coach and get all of that figured out in 1 week is not an easy thing in general. So I think it probably does make sense to simplify things a little bit. Of course, that also could make things easier for the Patriots defense as well, though.
With this game, with this matchup, how do you see the Patriots attacking this Titans team without getting themselves in trouble? I know, typical, we see these mismatches or whatever, we're thinking, bombs away, but is there a better strategy, an easier strategy to where you don't play into the Titans' hands here? So how do you see them attacking the Titans today?
I would personally probably play things a little bit more safe going into this game. Maybe they could, take some more risks later in the game, depending on how things are going. But we saw last week with Zach Core deciding to, blitz Carlton Davis on the first play of the game, and that leads to a 53-yard completion to Chris Olave. I don't think you really need to take those chances early against this Titans team, just because they have been so bad offensively, just because they don't have the same type of firepower as the Saints and other teams that they'll face this season. So for me, I would probably play it pretty conservatively. Definitely curious to see what Zach Core and Mike Vrabel and those guys have planned for the Titans, though.
On the other side of the ball, is the Patriots' run game just a consistent talking point here? The biggest strength for the Titans might be in the middle. They have Jeffrey Simmons. They'll be getting Devondre Sweat back in this game. Is this a game, you mentioned playing it a little more conservatively, is this a game where the Patriots establish the run, or do they look at the matchup and maybe it's not this week and we see them lean a little more on the pass game?
Yeah, it's funny that, you'd think, this is an easy match for the Patriots. Maybe they could get the run game going. But no, I don't necessarily see them getting it going this week. So I think that they have to continue to be pass heavy, see if they can get out to a lead, then maybe depend on their running backs a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't really see a light at the end of the tunnel for this run game right now, unless they make some sort of move at running back, because the offensive line has definitely not been great, and they play a factor in this. But I think it's just as much the running back's fault. Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson seem like they're running scared back there. They're not being decisive. When there are holes, they're not shooting through them fast enough. And yeah, I think that this is kind of a tough matchup against the Titans to try to get that run game established. So maybe they force it a little bit. Maybe they say hey, we really need to get this run game going. We need some optimism for the future. We need to build confidence. So let's see if we can do something. But I still see it being Drake May in the passing game, deciding this matchup for the Patriots and really being the offensive firepower in this game.
Well, with that being said, with Diggs being on the injury report and being, kind of in and out all week, do you see the continuing rise of Pop Douglas after his good game last week? And is this a game where you get, instead of the run game, where Kyle Williams actually becomes more of a factor? So do you see Pop Douglas and Kyle Williams being a part of that passing game attack that we might see today?
Maybe Pop Douglas, just because he had such a good game last week, but I don't know anything specific, sourced or anything like that. But the fact that Stephon Diggs was a full participant in practice Friday tells me that he should probably be good to go this week. So I really wouldn't expect his participation to be limited based on how things went in practice this week. But I could definitely see the Patriots looking at what Pop Douglas did last week and saying, like, hey, maybe we could replicate that against this Titans defense. With Kyle Williams, like, you kind of have to take snaps away from someone else by playing him. I guess that would probably be Matt Collins, but they play pretty separate roles. For me, if I'm the Patriots offense, I probably just keep going with what's working right now rather than trying to force a rookie onto the field just because we think that he could be a big play threat, because they've already got some big play threats on offense with Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas and Stephon Diggs. So I'm not sure if I see Kyle Williams snaps dramatically increasing unless there's some sort of injury. Maybe he winds up catching one of the targets that he gets, and then that results in a big play. But otherwise, I would probably just keep sticking with what's working out there.
Again, we're talking to Doug Kyed. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Herald. You mentioned there a little bit of an overflow at wide receiver. I think some Patriots fans, when we talk about the trade deadline, still say, you list the needs wide receiver because it's maybe just become a reflex or an instinct after the last 2 years. But they actually have some depth there. Not saying, if a great player comes along, you don't look. But what positions, as we get closer here, a couple weeks away from the trade deadline, what positions are you looking at the most for them to potentially add? Could be top of the depth chart, could be for depth. And is there anybody on the Titans that maybe they look across the sideline this week and make a call on Monday after the game and think might be a fit to bring in?
Yeah, I would put running back and edge right there at the top of the list, just because, if these issues in the run game, if the Patriots believe the same way that, a lot of people, myself included, do, think it could be the running back's fault, I think that you do look and, make a call to the Jets about Breece Hall. You make a call about some of these running backs just to see if they could be improvements over Ramondre Stevenson as that top running back at the top of the depth chart. Because Stevenson has really been pretty bad this season outside of week 2. And there's been a downward trajectory from him really ever since 2022 in general. So I definitely look at the running back position. And there are some running backs on this Titans roster. Like, I don't know how the Titans specifically feel about Tony Pollard. Tyjae Spears is a young running back who hasn't necessarily proven himself yet, but he was a draft pick of Mike Vrabel, so maybe he still thinks that there's something left in the tank for Tyjae Spears. And then at edge defender, I don't love the idea of acquiring someone like Arden Key just because I think that he's somewhat similar to what the Patriots already have, like talent-wise, and Caleb Von Jason and Anthony Jennings and Keon White. But it's possible that, if you do acquire someone like that, you look at him as a better fit overall for this defense. Once again, that was a guy that the Titans acquired when Mike Vrabel was there in Tennessee. So those would kind of be the three names I would look out there. And wide receiver, obviously, yeah, you make a good point. It's already kind of loaded there. There's already too many guys to be getting enough snaps. I will say that, if Jacoby Myers, someone who's obviously been mentioned a lot in trade rumors, if the Patriots were able to bring him in, I think you kind of slot him in specifically for that Matt Collins role because he is he is a good blocker. I think he could at least be a little bit more of a threat in the passing game. So I still don't hate the idea of them getting a wide receiver, but it really depends on who it is.
Yeah, and last one for me. You mentioned the edge. Keon White, full participant in practice, I don't know what's going on with him, but could he get an opportunity to really get a chance to shine and get back into good graces as coaching staff?
He could, because he'll probably be that third guy behind Harold Landry, assuming he plays, and Caleb Von Chason. But he's someone who really throughout his entire career now shows these glimpses, shows this potential, but then never really fully lives up to it throughout the season. And this might be his worst season overall now at this point. So I'm curious to see if Anthony Jennings gets a bigger bump this week. If they give Keon White one last shot, and if he can't do something with it, then maybe they do try to acquire edge help and potentially even trade Keon White away, because it just seems like he might not be the best fit for this defense, and that, maybe you do need to bring someone else in there to solidify that group a little bit.
He's Doug Kyed. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Herald. You can find him on social media at Doug Kyed. Doug, thanks for joining us this morning and enjoy the game today.
Absolutely. Anytime, Alex. Thank you, Strong.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's do a little more trade deadline talk here because been getting a lot of questions about it. We are still a few weeks away, but what kind of moves do we want to see Patriots make? Some good insight from Doug there. We'll react to it next. Plus, go around the league coming up at 9 o'clock here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub. Hey, if you notice sticky door. Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin behind the glass. A couple things I want to get into before we move on here. We'll go around the league at 9 o'clock, get back into the matchup, take your calls, 617-779-0985. This is usually when we do our college football minute, so I want to just acknowledge local college football player, Monty Quinn of Curry College.
Oh, man.
Did you see this? You know where I'm going with this? So Curry played Nichols yesterday. Monty Quinn set the all levels rushing record. So FBS, FCS, D2, D3. Quinn ran for 522 yards on 20 carries, including 7 touchdowns, 26.1 yards per carry. Monty, that's awesome. That rules. By the offensive line some stakes, man. Though I'm sure they helped you out quite a bit. 522 yards rushing in a game. The Patriots are quite far from that. Obviously, it's D3, but
tell you what, if I'm anybody from Boston College, I'm walking up the street. Hey man, what are you doing next weekend?
Well, again, it's not just him. I'm calling the linemen.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm calling the offensive linemen as well to see what they're doing. 522 yards in a game, and again, it's not even like they pulled him, or it's not like it was okay. Well, he ran the ball. Sometimes you see these ridiculous rushing numbers, but it's like a weird offense, and they run the ball 60 times. 20 carries is a normal number of carries in a game. It's maybe a tiny bit on the high side, but in college, that's about right. It's about right.
A lot of people overlook some of these small school guys with some of the records and stuff they put up. But wasn't Danny Woodhead putting up numbers like that when he was in college?
I mean,
at Chadron, whenever he was
522, that's the Chadron State. That's the all-level record. So he never ran for 522, but I think he did have some numbers.
He had a bunch of 300-yard games.
Yeah.
But
speaking of the running game, Patty and Agawam has a thought. Patty, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Alex and Cerrone?
It's up.
So, Alex, one of the things I love about you is you like posing these questions. Every week you'll kind of throw a question out there. And my question to you this week is, as far as the running game goes, if not now, then when? Because I know Tennessee's getting a bump with Sweat coming back, and Simmons is obviously a great player, but you look at, that's really all they got up front, in my opinion. You look at the next 3 opponents. Cleveland's a formidable line. And the next 2 guys after that, Atlanta, their defense is coming around, and Tampa, they may suck in their secondary, but that's a pretty good front they got. If not now, if we can't get the running game going this week, when is it going to happen? That's all I got. I'll take it off there.
Thanks, Patty. It's a good question. I don't think it's an if not now, when thing for a couple reasons. One, the Titans' run defense isn't bad, and the number looks a little skewed.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weighted because they've been giving up a handful. They'll give up 1 or 2 big plays a game. The 4.5 yards per carry isn't like they're allowing 4 or 5 yards every carry. They're kind of stopping the run, but then they get gashed for 50 yards, right? So that brings the average up. Now, ironically, that's outside of last week when they took a step back. What the Patriots offense has been lacking, they had a bunch of 3 to 4 or 5 yard runs, but they couldn't break the big one. So maybe in that sense it gets going this week. Cleveland has a good run game next week. Atlanta's defense has been good against the pass. It has not been as good against the run.
They get after the quarterback, but they're not a heavy D-line that stops the run.
So I would not rule out Atlanta as a game jump-started. And the other thing is I don't think it's – I do think – and Matt Dolph made this point this week on the Patriots Hub podcast, and it's a good point. I do wonder if there's an element of they just need one. They need to break one, and once they do that, they'll be off and running, and, seeing a layup go in, especially for TreVeyon Henderson. I thought TreVeyon Henderson looked a little bit better last week in terms of the patience. It's a long way to go, but, an early step, so we'll see if he builds on that this week. But we've talked about this. I don't know that there's schematically an issue or something for them to figure out lineup wise. I think guys just need to play better. And I know that sounds like a simplistic take, but we saw it at the beginning of the year with the defense. Remember, we were talking about what's wrong with defense. Well, Robert Spillane just needs to be better than he's been because we knew he could be better, and he's been awesome, frankly, since. And that hasn't been talked enough about. We know Ramondre Stevenson can be better than this. I guess Trayvon Henderson, we haven't seen it at the NFL level, but we saw it in preseason. We saw it in college. There's indications there that he can be better. Some of the run blocking, there's indications that those guys can be better. I find it tough to put a timeline on the run game because I think it's not as much about the opponent as it is about the Patriots themselves.
And I think one thing I'd add to it, too, I think you said that big play. I think Trayvon Henderson would have had the huge play, but in the Bills game, I can't remember who the defender was called for a tripping or something like that, and he prevented Henderson. He'd probably still be running. But I think it's more about the pass game. If you end up with more plays like you had against the Saints, those downfield plays, those safeties also, we talked about this last week with the single high safeties. Single high safety. If you start getting more plays downfield in that passing game, and those safeties are on their heels and the corners are a step back now, they're off a little bit. If that pass game becomes more respectable, all of a sudden those running lanes will open. Even against a good defense like the Browns or Atlanta, whatever. We're not great against the run. Some of these teams down the line, if they fully go in and say, you know what, we have to stop Drake May in his passing offense, and now they're playing back a little bit, that's when the draws, that's when the run game, getting outside, getting between tackles, all that stuff opens up if they start respecting the pass game. But if Tennessee comes out again today and they're sitting there with that single high safety situation, it's like, well, then we're going to just spread you out and throw the ball. And I think that's what's kind of keeping the run game, in the back a little bit. They're just not respecting the pass game fully yet. But eventually they will. And when they do, I think the Patriots will take advantage of that. It's
a good point. And frankly, I'm surprised it hasn't started happening already.
Yeah, I don't know what they're waiting on.
and look, by all means, continue to dare Drake May to throw the ball, I guess. If they're going to keep winning and he's going to look like an MVP caliber quarterback, I can get by watching a team without a run game, but you would just think eventually that's going to flip. The other element of it is, do they add somebody? I know I said we were going to talk about the trade deadline here, and we kind of got sidetracked talking about Monty Quinn and his 522 yards, but do they add somebody? And do they maybe get some juice with an outside addition at running back? I wouldn't rule that out as well. We'll get more into the trade deadline next week. For now, though, it's time. We got to get the headlines because we will go around the league. 90 seconds, no commercials here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, WDZ and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Patriots play their third of three consecutive road games today when they visit the Tennessee Titans. We've got pregame coverage coming up at 10 o'clock right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Titans firing head coach Brian Callahan earlier this week, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Titans will be running a simplified version of their offense today, or will simplify their offense under interim head coach Mike McCoy. Elsewhere around the NFL, London game kicking off in less than half an hour, so set those fantasy lineups. The Rams and Jaguars going at it in the 1 o'clock window. Carson Wentz leads the Vikings against his former team in the Eagles. Big 4 o'clock matchup in the AFC in first place teams. The Colts visiting the Chargers, and then tonight the Falcons take on the 49ers. 3 more top 10 teams lost in college football yesterday. One of those in a top 10 matchup as number 9 Georgia beat number 5 Ole Miss. You also had number 10 LSU losing to number 17 Vanderbilt, and number 7 Texas Tech lost to unranked Arizona State. And in local college football yesterday, UConn beat Boston College 38-23. The Bruins lost 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche last night. They wrap up this West Coast road trip later today against the Utah Mammoth, with coverage starting at 6:30 right here on the Sports Hub. And the New England Revolution played their season finale last night, a 2-2 draw against Chicago Fire FC. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Shaw's and Star Market Foundation. They've teamed with Andrew Peak for Feeding the Puck for Families and will donate $100 for each assist this season to the Greater Boston Food Bank to help fight food insecurity. Learn more at 985thesportshub.com/feedthepuck. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update during Patriots pregame.
Are you actually coaching the game, or it's just that is? I feel so strongly about that. I can't even tell you.
Boston Talk Sports here.
What do we got?
The Sports Hub.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me. Pick me.
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Take the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
All right. Week 7 in the National Football League. Only 2 buys this week, so we got to get to it. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin behind the glass. Start with the Unk Bowl Thursday night, Steelers and Bengals.
It don't make no sense. It's only my calf.
You take anything for the game?
Yeah. Viagra.
That'll make you cry.
I didn't even know that was going to be the clip. That felt like an appropriate introduction. Joe Flacco and the Bengals beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers 33-31. Do you have any nostalgia watching that game, Cerrone? Because I sure did.
I think that was the best game of Flacco's career.
He doesn't care.
You know,
he's just slinging it.
He was. I tweeted this out. It's amazing how good an offensive line gets when you have a quarterback out there who knows how to read coverages and call out blitzes and just make everything simple for the offense. And it also shows how a stable of wide receivers can make any quarterback look good. And I'm really questioning Joe Burrow right about now.
Man, look, there's some good quarterbacks in the league right now. I don't want to take away from some of the guys in the league. But for my money, the golden age of quarterbacking, it's not gone yet. Like Flacco and Rodgers are from that era. It's not gone yet. But give me Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Rivers.
So mental, man. Those guys were just so smart. There was nothing the Steelers could do. There's nothing either team could really do. I mean, Rodgers did throw 3 interceptions, but there was nothing they could do with Flacco. He just knew what was coming every single time.
I think we talked about this last year, right? Like, where would Andy Dalton be, prime Andy Dalton be in, like, today's quarterback conversation? Was it this show that we had that conversation?
We mentioned it. We mentioned it a little bit last week, but he'd be paid well.
Like, it's just we were, I'm 31, very lucky to grow up watching the quarterbacking that I did, not just in New England, obviously New England, not just in New England, but everywhere. But Bengals win that one 33-31, and the AFC continues to look close. Let's get to the London games, or let's get today. We'll start with the London game between the 4-2 Rams and the 4-2 Jaguars.
Duval.
Final London game of the year, I believe, here. No Puka Nacua for the Rams in this one. They are still, as of this morning, that might change now that the inactives have come out, but as of this morning, Rams 3.5-point favorites.
Give me the Jags. No, Nacua is their whole offense. He's everything for them. He's an MVP candidate as wide receiver. Give me the Jags. If they're down him, they're in some trouble. And I think the Jags, look, I mean, they're playing decent enough right now. I think they're going to win this game.
The Jags love London. London loves the Jags. Give the Jags to win this game. Start with 1 o'clock window now. A fascinating QB matchup between the 1-5 Saints and 3-2 Bears.
Injuries from the game.
Talk to the trainer. Next.
Mike, why are you in such a bad mood?
What do you care?
Right.
So if you don't follow college football and you just learned about Caleb Williams' breakout star at USC, I'm going to set this one up a little bit here. Before he was at USC, Caleb Williams was at Oklahoma, playing for Lincoln Riley before he left. And the way he won the job at Oklahoma, there was another quarterback there who was, top quarterback recruit, was supposed to be the guy that was going to win a Heisman, take Oklahoma to the promised land, be the first overall pick, all of that. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams steals his job and ultimately kind of steals his story. What happened to that quarterback? He transferred to South Carolina, became kind of a reclamation project, showed some flashes, got drafted in the 4th round by the New Orleans Saints. It's Spencer Rattler. They go against each other today. Bears 5.5-point favorite. Who you got?
I got the Bears, New Orleans, indoor team going up north playing in the grass. I'm not sure what the weather's like up there, but I know it's a lot cooler than Louisiana. But give me the Bears. I think they're just a better team. But I think Spencer Rattler has a good game today.
Saints to cover, if not win. I love the grunge element, the grudge element to this. Like, I think Spencer Rattler's done a lot of growing up since.
Yeah, I thought he was good last week.
He was good last week. And I think he's done a lot of growing up since he was in that Netflix documentary, which maybe didn't paint him in the best light. But don't you think he probably just hates Caleb Williams?
I'm pretty sure
Caleb Williams stole his life. He was supposed to be that guy.
It's like the kid in The Incredibles. He just throws his picture off the wall every time he sees him.
Right. Give me this Spencer Rattler grudge match, man. I kind of like that story. And they played the Patriots tough last week. I don't know. Yeah. Gut check, emotion check. I don't know that I have a ton of X's and O's reasons to support this pick, but I make one or two of these each week. Give me the Saints in that one. This one's a little more gross. 1-5 Dolphins, 1-5 Browns.
And they won 2 world wars. 2 world wars by doing jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups. 2 world wars.
So not only is this 2 1-5 teams, 2 quarterbacks who are struggling to throw the ball, who are both banged up. It is supposed to be a monsoon in Cleveland today. Heavy rain, saying wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour, potentially during the game.
That's awesome.
Lowest total of the week. Surprise, surprise, 37 points. Browns, 2.5-point favorites.
This might be the most entertaining game of the week. If that weather holds up, it's going to be all. They have grass there, muddy, sloppy. I think the Browns win. I think the home team gets this one. The Dolphins they're imploding on themselves. The Browns pretty much are too, but the Browns at least have a good defense. Give me Cleveland this one in like 9-6 or something crazy.
Yeah, give me Cleveland. Definitely some single-digit scoring. I think that front plays big. Quinshot Judkins starting to get it going, so that helps. Although Devon Achane had a big game last week. So I think you see a lot of running the ball in that one. How about the 2-4 Raiders at the 3-3 Chiefs?
Oh, hell no. They go that horse. I don't mess with horses, bro. Might come over here and throw a tantrum.
The biggest spread of the week, our only double-digit spread of the week. Chiefs favored by 12.5. Now, I know the Raiders aren't good, but are the Chiefs that much back to be a double-digit favorite in a game, Cerrone?
They could be. I think the injuries with the Raiders is playing a huge part of this. But what's really weird is if the Raiders win this game, they'll be tied with the Chiefs in the standings. So the gap really isn't as wide as we think it is. I think a lot of this is just Chiefs nostalgia here. But I do think the Chiefs will win this game. But I want to see what the weather's like, because I think that might be a big equalizer in this one too. But give me the Chiefs in this one.
I think Raiders cover, Chiefs win. Mid-60s and sunny. Not a lot of wind, so weather's fine. Raiders win, Chiefs
that's
cover.
That's a Geno Smith type game, though. That's a game where out of nowhere he throws for 375.
And you know, the Raiders do always play the Chiefs tough. Now, the Chiefs usually end up winning those games, but the Raiders do play them tough. I think the Raiders cover 12.5. I think that's like a sneaky fun game. Another grudge match for the quarterback. The 4-2 Eagles at the 3-2 Vikings.
You got an orange peanut?
Yeah.
An orange peanut? For me?
That's right.
Oh, wow. An orange peanut? Well, I accept you.
Oh, I miss those old NFL lip reading videos.
Bad lip reading, yep.
So good. The Eagles 1.5-point favorites against Carson Wentz.
Ooh. Man, give me the Eagles in this one. I'd never believe in Wentz. But give me the Eagles. I think they're better than what people are kind of downplaying them a lot right now, but I think the Eagles win this game. I think they're just a better team overall.
This is the ultimate get-right game for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They've lost 2 in a row. And oh boy, are there going to be questions if they lose to Carson Wentz. Side note, if you're a Vikings fan, you worried about J.J. McCarthy?
Who? Might be, unless he must have broke that ankle or whatever. But I think he might be a little worried. But there might still be some hope.
Yeah, they're saying this might be a soft benching, that he might not be ready. I wonder who was talking about that this time last year, that he wasn't going to be ready right away. Let's go to the 3-3 Panthers at the 0-6 Jets.
What does it mean to you now when the team is struggling?
I want to kiss you. I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Well, that's good because they're 0-6. I said that the Raiders-Chiefs spread felt a little too big, and, are the Chiefs that back? Are the Panthers back enough that they shouldn't be just 1.5-point favorites against the Jets?
I don't understand that one at all. I think the Panthers beat these dudes by 21 points. But, I mean, hey, maybe, I don't know. But give me the Panthers in this one, and that clip of Namath is hilarious. And I remember watching that live with my wife. One of the funniest moments ever. But, yeah, give me the Panthers in this one.
Do you know how many passing yards the Jets had last week?
Was it -10?
It was -10.
Yeah.
I was having fun with that all day. The Patriots had 12 more first-quarter touchdowns than the Jets had total passing yards, and they only scored 2 touchdowns. -10 pass yards.
I don't get it with Justin Fields. I don't understand why people still believe in him, and I don't know.
Well, did you hear what Aaron Glenn said this week?
What's that?
He said, I want to find the exact quote here. He was asked about Fields holding the ball, which he's doing. He's holding the ball entirely too long.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something along the lines like, well, Josh Allen holds the ball too. And it's like, dude, It's not remotely the same thing.
Good point, Coach.
I mean, I guess, yeah, technically, but yeah, so that it's not going well in New York at all. I'm with you. Give me the Panthers. Give me the Panthers big in that one. We'll get back to Patriots Titans in a bit. I will let you know Patriots 7.5-point favorites in this one. I think it was 1.5 at the start of the season.
When's the last time they've been a 7-point favorite?
That's right. We'll go to the 4:00 window though, in the 2-4 Giants against the 4-2 Broncos.
They're going to kick it. They're going to kick it.
Kick what?
Kicking the field goal.
What?
Giants 7.5-point dogs to Denver.
I think Denver's defensive line gets at the Giants. I think Denver's defense is going to be too much, and they're going to eliminate Scatterbo. Not eliminate, but take away some of the big plays from Scatterbo and get after Dart. Give me Denver because of that defense.
This is a sneaky fun game to me. It's a really fun game. Now, yeah, the Broncos held the Jets to -10 pass yards last week, but they only scored 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
And their offense hasn't been right in a few weeks. I think this could be an interesting back and forth. Give me Denver to win, but give me the Giants to cover 7.5. One possession game in that one. This is a big one. Who would have seen it coming at the beginning of the year? The 5-1 Colts at the 4-2 Chargers.
One call pass plays. Block.
First place in the AFC. Potentially on the line. It's feeling a lot like 2008, Cerrone. We got the Steelers, the Colts, the Chargers, and the Patriots in first place in the AFC. The Bolts 1.5-point favorites at home.
Give me the home team. Give me the Chargers, but I want to really watch this game. This is the one I want to really see because I haven't watched the Colts yet, so I want to see what they're really all about. But give me the Chargers at home in this one.
Fun, high-scoring game here. Give me the Chargers. Also at 4:00, the 3-1-1 Packers at the 2-4 Cardinals.
Final Packer offensive lineman announced during pregame introductions was who?
Jerry Kramer.
No!
Kyler Murray, it sounds like, or he's still, I think, a game-time decision. I'm reading multiple headlines here. They're kind of all over the place. So maybe more Jacoby Brissett, who played well last week.
Yeah.
Even though the Cardinals lost. They're 6.5-point underdogs in this one.
Give me the Packers. Better team, both sides of the ball. Healthier team right now. Give me the Packers to win this one and win big.
I'm with you. Give me the Packers. Cardinals had that. They won 2 in a row, and everybody got all carried away. It's against the Saints and the Panthers. They've lost 4 straight. Give me the Packers and to cover the 6.5. The 3-3 Commanders at the 2-3-1 Cowboys.
Well, we're designing bad plays, or we're designing bad concepts.
Jaden Daniels continuing to get healthier as the Commanders go into a divisional matchup indoors against the Cowboys. Washington is 1.5-point favorites after last week's loss to the Bears.
I'm trying to figure out how Washington's the favorite, and all 3 of their top receivers are out. And CeeDee Lamb, I think, is back. Give me Dallas at home to win this one. Good division game, good fun game to watch. But I think Dallas gets a W today.
Give me the Commanders in this one. This is like the Cowboys are starting to build a little momentum after a rough start to the year. This feels like the game where the rug gets pulled out from under him. Again, Jaden Daniels is getting healthier. Regardless of who his receivers are, I think he's going to be able to sling it. It does look like CeeDee Lamb leaning towards returning is what I'm seeing. So we'll see when the inactives come out. And those will obviously be later on with that being a 4:00 game. Let's go to tonight. The Falcons at the Niners.
This is ludicrous.
Yeah. Oh, you don't tell Ludacris what's ludicrous. Ludacris tells you what's ludicrous.
Okay.
Oh, that is ludicrous.
3-2 Falcons at 4-2 Niners. I believe it's a Mac Jones game again. Niners 1.5-point favorites.
Mac Jones on prime time. Look, if he can do his thing against that Falcons pass rush, he's definitely the man in San Fran the rest of this year. But give me Atlanta. Give me Atlanta to get the W today. I think they just they're playing decent ball right about now. The offense is really going, and Robinson might be the MVP. So give me Atlanta.
It is Mac Jones, Brock Purdy out again. Mac Jones, Michael Penix, prime time. Love it. Things are starting to click for the Falcons. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. You know, Falcons may be riding a little too high after that win against the Bills, have to go all the way to the other coast. Give me the Niners. But I think it's going to be a fun game. And then tomorrow night, we've got the good kind of Monday night doubleheader, 7 and 10 o'clock. Still standalone games. We'll start with the early matchup between the 5-1 Bucks and 4-2 Lions.
Here comes Jared Allen, and he's out of bounds. Poor guy. I don't even know if he realized it.
The Lions, 5.5-point favorites.
I got the Lions in this one. Tampa Bay, I know, is getting healthy. They're getting guys back. and they got the better record. But I think Detroit at home, prime time, I think they get the W. I think they're just a better team right now. They had a tough L, but I think Detroit gets the W here.
Give me the Bucs. I think they're one of the best teams in football. I think Baker Mayfield's a real MVP candidate. I think this is a great shot to send a message to the rest of the league that they are not to be taken lightly. And then in the late game, the 2-3 Texans go out to visit the 4-2 Seahawks.
You feel me? Start taking care of y'all mentals, y'all bodies, and y'all chicken.
Seahawks 3.5-point favorites.
Give me Seattle at home. I'm not buying into the Texans yet. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with them. How come they can't get it together? But give me Seattle. I think they're playing good ball.
Yeah, give me Seattle as well. I think Houston ultimately is better than they started the year, but I think they drop this one, even coming off the bye, extra week to prepare. Speaking of bye weeks, Baltimore, Buffalo off this week, and that is your Week 7 slate. Let's get back to Patriots, Titans next on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
Love keep. with a run-up and a swing for right leg.
Every football game starts with the kickoff. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your home for Patriots football. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Barth Cerrone Battle with you, taking you up to Patriots pregame ahead of the Patriots matchup with the Titans. Let's get back into this matchup here, Cerrone, and what the Patriots going to need to do today against the Titans. And start with somebody we haven't talked about a ton on this show, Cam Ward, first overall pick.
Yeah.
It will be the 12th time the Patriots face a first overall pick quarterback his rookie year. They are 9-2 in the previous 11. That includes a win last year over Caleb Williams. They've not lost such a game since 1990. Can you name the quarterback?
Ooh, they lost to the number one pick in I can't even remember who the number one pick was in 1990.
It was Jeff George.
Wow.
So they split with Jeff.
Cannon arm.
Yeah, they split with Jeff George that year. They've since beat Peyton Manning twice, Tim Couch. I guess Mike Vick didn't start that game, so you can put an asterisk on that, but he did play. That was in 2001. Andrew Luck, Jared Goff in 2016, Trevor Lawrence a couple years ago, and then Caleb Williams last year. What are your thoughts on Cam Ward? And I remember you were a fan of his during the draft process last year, but just his first month and a half as an NFL quarterback.
I was a fan of his. I loved what he did in Miami. I thought Miami should have been there, man, toward the end. But I didn't understand why he was such a sure lock as the overall best player in the draft. I mean, I know a lot of guys would struggle in the situation he's dealing with in Tennessee, but I mean, he does have a decent offensive line. He does have a decent receiver with Calvin Ridley. He's not playing in bad conditions or anything like that. And I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know what kind of player he could be. And I think what he did in college wasn't a large enough sample size to say, oh, he's the unanimous, without a doubt, best player in this draft. And not saying I thought he would be like the situation he's in now, but I think it's going to take longer than expected for him to become the man. And I think the biggest thing with me was he's probably the most least talked about number one pick, even after the draft, during the summer, during training camp. No one mentions him at all. Even in their struggles, no one mentions his name. It's kind of like the forgotten guy. So, you know, it's I want to see him succeed, not today, but over time, because I think he's a good dude and he did his thing at Miami, but I don't know what his ceiling really is.
Well, I think some of it is, and it's funny. I talked to Justin Mello on the Patriots Hub podcast. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts or the Sports Hub YouTube page. Justin Mello covers the Titans. He also does some draft stuff. You might know him from that. And he's talking about what's going on with Cam Ward. He goes, yeah, you see some flashes. There haven't been enough, but there's some times that he's popping, but it feels like he's being held back by the situation. The coaching staff's not doing him any favors. It's a mess, and the surrounding talent isn't good enough. And, you know, stop me when it sounds familiar, right, Cerrone?
Yep.
And you listen to Titans people talk about Cam Ward, and it sounds like how we talked about Drake May last year. And that doesn't mean Cam Ward's going to become Drake May, but it does feel like he's kind of fighting a bad situation. So if you're the Patriots, what do? You make him lean on his situation in order to win this game. Like, the one thing for me that I think could be an issue, you mentioned in the, you know, our pre-show chat about them being able to get more pressure. I don't think it's just getting pressure. I think it's the type of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that bothered me about the Patriots defense last week, I think some people were bothered with the coverage. It honestly didn't bother me as much because I think by at least the execution, because I think they were executing what was game planned. They were just playing very soft, bend, don't break coverage.
Yeah.
They were still aggressive up front, but what you see it on the first play. There are a couple instances where they ran by the quarterback. And I know that this defense is more aggressive and it's less about contain and get upfield and get pressure, but there's something to be said for, especially against a young quarterback. Even if you can't sack him, get a hand on him, make him feel the pressure, move him off his spot, make him navigate the pocket. And there were a couple times where they gave Spencer Rattler an opportunity, like a clear lane to step up in the pocket and throw or scramble or whatever. And he didn't really have to do a lot of navigating. It was just a clean step up, climb the ladder. That, to me, was Cam Ward's best trait in college, was his ability to step up into a pocket, extend a play, and go. So that's the big thing for me. If they can be more disciplined in their rush this week, get pressure on Cam Ward, not run by him.
Get in his face.
Now you're making him sit in pressure. You're making him go through his progressions. You're making him, throw accurately. And not that he's not an accurate quarterback, but it's just there's a lot less margin for error, and he has to do it under duress because you're probably going to have two rookie receivers out there running a ton of the routes. If Tyler Lockett's in the slot on Marcus Jones, which is a good matchup, like it's a competitive matchup, but you're going to have Elick Ayomanor and Jim DK against Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I like making Cam Ward throw into those matchups.
Yeah. And I think with him being without Calvin Ridley, the rhythm and timing, I think, is going to be off.
Yeah.
That's a key to him missing. So you can say he's going to be thrown to those two rookies.
And I should add Van Jefferson's in the mix as well. He's a veteran.
You're right. He's going to be thrown to those guys, but I think everything's going to be a tick slower, that half second slower. And I think that's enough time for you to get a chance for sacks, strip sacks. Like you said, slap his shoulder pad when he's trying to throw the ball to make him not feel you or see ghost kind of thing and make him throw it away or something like that. When see imaginary pressure and just make him think about it. And I think this timing is going to be off a little bit. But I would caution anybody to not sleep on these two rookies. I think they have the ability to make a play here or there. And we always say one big play can change a game. Most games are a touchdown game. And they both had moments on the college level and I believe NFL level to where they've shown flashes of making that one big play and not to really sleep on it. You don't want him to get a rhythm and start feeling good. You don't want them to get right against you. And I think the pressure has to be there. And I think you got to get pressure with your front four and not bring a ton of guys and make it harder on him to kind of find those holes and find those spaces in the defense.
The other thing with the Patriots in this matchup, or I guess just big picture, so trying to figure out who they are philosophically on defense.
Yeah.
To me, we still don't know, which is a little weird. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just kind of weird this late in the season. But the way I look at it, you throw the first three games out in that regard. Mm-hmm. For better or worse, you throw them out, they didn't have their best player. And it felt like at times they were calling the game in certain ways that reflected that they didn't have their best player. They had two different defensive play callers in that stretch too. Terrell Williams did week one, and obviously he's been dealing with his cancer diagnosis since. Zach Core stepped in. So throw those three out. You get Christian Gonzalez back week 4 against the Panthers. That thing becomes a blowout quickly. You blow doors, and they're in very vanilla defense a lot of the way, just kind of getting to the end of that game. Christian Gonzalez didn't even play in the fourth quarter. So that one's not super informative to me. It's just not. Now we get to the good stuff. Buffalo and New Orleans. The Buffalo game is what I think a lot of us expected them to be. Heavy man coverage, press. They're being aggressive up front. I thought they played relatively well, against Josh Allen. They forced 3 turnovers. They held the Bills to 360 yards of total offense, which is not exactly holding. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it's not exactly getting lit up either. Like, I think for the way that game went, that's a fine number. It's an okay number. And so you see that game, you're like, all right, Christian Gonzalez is back. This is who they're going to be. And then they play the Saints last week, and they basically switched to bend, don't break. And the numbers end up a lot better. They allowed less than 300 yards of total offense, only 1 touchdown. But it's like, is this, they kind of got nickel and dimed. And they made the plays when they had to make plays. Saints were 3-9 on third down. Again, 5 trips into the Patriots side of the field, only 1 touchdown to show for it. Forced a needed turnover late. But it's like, okay, well, that's not who I thought they were going to be. That's very different. It's very different than what they were against Buffalo. So who's the real Patriots defense? Is it what they did against the Bills? Is it what they did against the Saints? There's going to be a level of them being a game plan defense, I think, every week, but that's an extreme change. This game, to me, feels like a tiebreaker, for better or worse. And because I don't think the Titans are the kind of team that you look at and say, well, we have to play this way or we have to play that way. I think this is a team that you kind of go in and say, we're just going to do what we do best. We're going to play our game and we're going to win. So, I think they probably should be closer to what they were against the Bills. Maybe not that aggressive all the time, but it's going to be interesting to see just schematically how they play it today.
Yeah, I want to see them aggressive. I think they have the ability. Carlton Davis is getting kind of picked on a little bit here lately, but I want to see them aggressive because I think they have the guys to do it on the outside. And because I think the key to winning championships is that today's football is getting pressure on the quarterback, make the opposite quarterback struggle. You have to take the quarterbacks away today. And it's not so much a run game league unless you're playing the Ravens or even Buffalo when they're at their best. I think you have to get to the quarterback. And I think if that's blitzing or whatever, I think you have to be aggressive. You have to figure out a way to get to Cam Ward, get in his face, and force him to fumble the ball, throw it into the dirt, throw interceptions, whatever, force turnovers. And I think that's the kind of defense I want to see from this Patriots. Now, you play Atlanta or some of these other teams that have explosive guys and you bring heat and miss, you're going to get burnt. But I think for the most part, I think I would rather see them be an aggressive defense because I think they have the ability to turn people over if they do that.
All right, let's get to the other side of the ball. The Patriots offense. We'll do that next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. and Cerrone Battle are here, talking football every Sunday morning with the insiders and with you. It's Sunday Kickoff on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. Last chance. You want to join us and talk about today's matchup, 617-779-0985. Patriots pregame coming up soon, 10 o'clock. Jim Murray in the building. Just saw him, so they're getting ready. That will lead you up to Bob and Zoe with the call at 1. And then Joe Murray and Mark Dondero will be back with postgame afterwards, leading into Bruins coverage. So full day here of game coverage on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Patriots offense, I'll give a little update here, Cerrone. We talked about the weather with some other games. So, did rain a little bit in Nashville this morning. Mike Reese sharing the field was covered. And it sounds like it has cleared up or will clear up for kickoff. So, if the field's wet, that's going to be minimal. But I did have I have SportsCenter up here on the TV, and they were doing the run through the games with the meteorologist. The winds in Nashville, 20-mile-an-hour winds. So as we talk about this pass game, maybe making a comeback and needing to get the run game going, they might have some wind to deal with in that regard. All the more reasons, Cerrone, they got to establish the run today. And it won't be easy with Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat, but they got to get that thing going today.
And I think with that report you just had there, I think not only the run game, I think now we talked about Pop Douglas briefly a little early on. Now I think the Pop Douglas and Stephon Diggs on the short stuff becomes a huge factor. I think Travion Henderson in the passing game, screen game, stuff like that becomes more of a factor too. And we might not see those downfield shots we saw when they were in the dome last week in this game today. So I think it's back to McDaniel's football, the short stuff underneath, screen game. You might see some of the reverses and all that stuff they've been trying to get going the last few weeks. And that key part, like you said, the running game. And I hope it is not wet because now every time Stevenson touches the ball, I'm going to be closing my eyes. But I think it changes how you approach it. And it changes how you play defense because now Cam Ward's not going to be taking a ton of shots downfield either. So you might see more tight man coverage and pressing from the Patriots on that side of the ball. So I think that wind does play a huge part in this.
Yeah, it's something to note. But yeah, the rain's the bigger one, and it sounds like that's going to hold off, so that's helpful. You've talked about Pop Douglas a couple times today. I do hope they continue to get him going. I've talked about this before. Their offense, he just adds a dynamic that they don't have. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the combination of speed and quickness, and you see it on those. I mean, it should have been 2 touchdowns last week. We will get to the refs in a bit. I do have a referee take. Unfortunately, it's becoming a weekly thing. We'll get to that. He's impossible to tackle in the open field. Mm-hmm. Like if it's really one-on-one, he's tough to corral and picks up a ton of yards after the catch. And I liked his usage last week so much better.
Yeah.
They don't need him running 7-yard in cuts. They have guys that do that better than he does. To me, his target should either be 20-plus yards downfield or behind the line of scrimmage. Like, he's that kind of player. Mm-hmm. And they didn't use him that way early. You've seen Diggs step more into that intermediate role, and he's been good in it.
Yeah.
You have Kayshon Boutte. Like, I find it interesting that Boutte's been described as the deep threat because he kind of is, he kind of isn't. He's just constantly being targeted like 15 to 20 yards down the field. When they run him on true go routes, it's mostly been high red zone, 25 to 30 yard line, and they're throwing him jump balls in the end zone. He hasn't really run these like 60 yard, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And doing that with Pop Douglas from the slot, and you have Boutte running these like deep outs or, comeback routes, 15-yard comeback routes. That's where he's really thrived. So I hope
kind of like Brandon LaFell.
Honestly, it's a tremendous comp. And Brandon LaFell, I'll give you another one, Brandon Lloyd.
Yeah,
when
Brandon Lloyd.
Some of that
maybe David Givens a little bit.
So I tweeted out this week no player. So, all right. targets per first down. So, like, how often, not catches, targets that turn into a first down, Kayshon Boutte is converting a first down 1.4 times he's targeted. So, basically, like 2 of every 3 targets for Kayshon Boutte. The next closest player is Tyreek Hill at 1.7. This was going into the week. I don't know if it changed during Thursday Night Football. So, the gap between Kayshon Boutte and the next closest player in that regard is the same as the gap between the second and 9th closest player in that regard. Sheesh. And David Givens had that insane run where he had like a bunch of first downs in a row. Yeah. Kayshon Boutte's last 10 catches have gone for first downs. Yep. 16 of his 18 catches this year have gone for first downs. And one of the ones that didn't, it was in the opener. It was a 2nd and 15. He ran his route intentionally short of the sticks to pick up 14 yards with the corner sitting at the 15-yard mark. It was a comeback, and the Patriots get a first down on the next play. So he's been awesome in that regard. Let him eat there. Let him eat in the intermediate. Pop Douglas, to bring it back to it, I want not just I want to see the production match from last week, the usage they had him on last week. I think that's a great plan for him.
Yeah, and his one thing you said, his playmaker ability, I mean, it was on full display last week, and I hope, I know he knows, but Drake May saw it a lot in camp. You guys were there in camp every day, and he was a star. And I think if you can find a way to turn him into that kind of playmaker, when we talked about the ground game and these other guys, I think having a threat like that out there, if the defense sees him as that kind of playmaker, it opens up everything on this offense. Now you're getting the one-on-ones with Diggs and Boutte and all these other guys. I think it opens it up for the tight ends. It opens up the ground game. Just having a guy that the defense has to worry about or their safeties are constantly keeping their eyes on with that type of shiftiness and speed, it just opens everything up. So that's why I'm so big on hoping he gets going to be more consistent. And I think he just unlocks everything with this offense as you go on. And as you get further into the season, when the tougher opponents, come back around again, I think he's so key to what they're trying to do. So I hope they continue what they were doing last week, being aggressive with him and get him really moving.
And then again, in the run game, I'll stand by this. I don't think it was bad the first 5 weeks. It wasn't good, but they had one of the lowest stuff rates in the league. They were among, the lowest teams in the league in terms of runs for no or negative yardage. So they were gaining yards, but they just weren't breaking the big run. It was all 3 to 4 yards in a cloud of dust, and that was it. And what the improvement we were looking for was, can they even just get like some 10-yard runs, right, or 12-yard runs? Yeah. Forget the true big one. And it wasn't happening. Last week, it was a point of emphasis. Okay, is this where they turn the corner? Weak rush defense. No, last week it was bad. Last week they had 6 runs go for negative yards. Traditional runs outside of Drake May scrambling, 2.1 yards per carry. Last week was a bad run game. So when I look at it this week, it's almost, can they get back to being meh? Mm-hmm. And ideally they take a step beyond that, but they just need to get back to being meh this week against a team that, again, I think is better against the run than maybe the numbers suggest.
Yeah. And I think if you get back to what you said, just being what they were, it opens the play action game up. You respect it now. It's May gets more time in the pocket. And I think you can't, even if you're just getting 3.5, 4 yards, whatever it is, if continue to at least attempt to run the ball to keep the defense honest. You got to keep them respecting it. Like, we're not going to allow Henderson or Stevenson to get going. And you can't just drop back 40 times and just throw the run game away, because now you become predictable. And I think you have to at least keep running the ball and keep giving the ball to these guys and unlocking that play action, because it's so big of what you're trying to do. It gets Hunter Henry going, gets those tight ends going. It buys you more time in the pocket. It allows May to scan the field. You have to run the game just to get that play action open. But I think Henderson's going to break through. I think Stevenson right now has the ability to, but he's trying not to fall on the ground. So I don't think he's trying to be too shifty and trying to make these extra moves. He's just trying not to fumble the ball. Get what you can and go down. Maybe that's what they're being told to do. But I think that it's going to come, and it's going to come the more this pass game gets unlocked. And I think you'll find more lanes and more creases. And Your left side is rookies. I think as time goes on, those guys will figure out how to get to the second level a little better in the run game. But I think it's coming. I think we just got to be a little patient with it.
I do think Steve Henderson showed a little bit better patience last week. Little bit, wasn't a ton, but maybe a step forward. One other thing I want to touch on here. 2 weeks ago on this show, we told you the refs might be a factor and might be something to watch for, and they were. They didn't ultimately impact the outcome of the game, but they were bad and annoying and hurt the product. Last week, we told you the refs might be something to watch for, and I don't think they decided the outcome of the game, but they were bad and annoying and they hurt the product. So who do we got this week? Craig Wolstrad. Here's the good news. So 5 of the Patriots' first 6 games were officiated by 5 of the 6 most flag-throwing crews in the NFL, like highest rates of flags. Craig Wolstrad's crew is 9th out of 18 crews. More middle of the pack. So, again, that's the good news. The 13.3 flags a game, that's not... I wouldn't say this is a crew that lets them play, but they're not going to be over the top about it either. It's about fine. Here's bad news. Part of the reason that number is as low as it is last week they worked the Lions-Chiefs game and threw 1 flag on the Kansas City Chiefs. It was super late and it was declined. So the Chiefs were called for no penalties. They're the first team to do that in game since 2023. Now, how does that impact the Patriots? I don't know. Maybe nothing. The other thing about this crew, they've been in the headlines this week along with Adrian Hill, who, by the way, the crew from last week's Patriots game is doing the London game right now. They have an island game for whatever that's worth.
You guys did such a good job. Have a vacation.
I tweeted out this week and people were joking, okay, but is it a one-way ticket over there? So keep an eye on how they're doing in this game. Off corner of my eye, I haven't seen them screw up anything yet. Wolstrad's crew is also in the news this week for that controversial overturning of the Jared Goff touchdown, where they had said that they got a call from New York to change it, but then they said they didn't, and there was back and forth. So not quite as bad as last week, but another crew that was in the spotlight for not good reasons. Just something to keep an eye on.
So it's funny how those things always happens in Chiefs games. It's just it's weird.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. There's Adrian Hill on my TV right now. He just called holding. Probably on Stephon
Was he
Diggs.
looking into the right camera?
He was.
Hey,
he was. All right, let's hit a break. Come back to our game picks. Get you off to Patriots pregame next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Zoe, and if you...
Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, we've got a video from the field tweeted out at 98.5 The Sports Hub. And it does look a little wet there, Cerrone. The tarp's on the field.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like it's raining. So maybe we're okay come game time, but definitely rained and see with the wind. Doesn't look too windy in that video, but there's not much in the video that would indicate it. All right, keeping that in mind, who you got? What's your pick?
I got the Patriots in this one. I think they win. I think they win I think the game will be boring by the fourth quarter, put it like that. I think this is another game where they top 30, and not because they're just ultra efficient and doing everything right offensively. I think similar to the Carolina game, they just get a lot of cracks at it. I think they get the ball back a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of short fields. I mean, short like midfield, 40-yard line, whatever. I think they get the ball back a lot and they get a ton of points that way. And I just think Tennessee's in a bad spot right now. They're in a tough place, and it's just the perfect storm for the Patriots to go out there and have a big game. So I got the Patriots, I don't know, like 31-14 or something like that.
So I said 30-16 earlier this week. So we're kind of on the same page in terms of the final score. I actually think it runs a little differently. I actually think it's going to be a little close early. I think the Titans get the early boost, like we talked about earlier. And we know the Patriots defense has started slow. And kind of like what it should have been last week without the officials. Yeah. Like Patriots kind of start to turn it up late in the first half and then roll in the second half. So 30-16, but could it be a one-score game at halftime? Yeah, I could see that. So I think it's going to be a little more competitive than people are expecting, but I think the Patriots leave with the win, which is ultimately what they need to do to complete this road trip. That'll do it for us. Patriots pregame coming up next with Jim Murray and Chris Gasper. It leads you up to the call of the game at 1 o'clock with Bob and Zoe. Patriots postgame after with Joe Murray and Mark Dondero. I will be back. We'll be back next week, and I'll be on tomorrow. Not on, but Patriots Hub podcast. Have an episode with David Andrews. Have an episode with Matt Dolph. You can find those on the Sports Hub YouTube page, Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, you can find this show on the Sports Hub YouTube page and Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Ryan Garvin, great job as always. Cerrone Battle, great job as always. I'll have more on a game on 98.5sportshub.com. Talk to you then. Bye.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, it's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station.